let's talk about the work experience class orientation. We're going to go over some of the basics. All right, so here is the basics of how you're going to be how to be a good student in this class, how to get a good grade in this class. So number one, you must get a work permit. You have to get a new work permit for every new job you get, and you have to get a work. They expire at the end of the school year. So if you didn't get one for the beginning of this school year, you're going to have to get one. You have to have the right kind of job. Not every kind of job can qualify for work experience, so it has to be an approved job. You have to keep all your grades above 2.0, so you have to have a 2.0 or better, and you have to have good attendance to stay in this class. You have to do a good job at your work and move towards your goals. You're going to set goals with your employer, and you're going to have to do a good job at meeting those goals. And for me, you have some important paperwork that you have to pick up on Monday, like I talked about, and that is super important that you take care of your paperwork. All right, another piece is you have to attend class. So this class is not like other classes with attendance. I guess it's up to the teacher, but in this particular class, because we only meet once a week, it's mandatory that you come. And if you don't come, you have to make it up, and you can only make 3 of them up, and attendance is part of your grade. Okay, so attendance is important. So if you have to, obviously sometimes you're going to have to miss. Don't purposely miss though. For example, like don't schedule your doctor's and dentist appointments on Tuesdays. So talk to your parents about that. But talk to me, and we'll schedule a makeup day, probably on a Wednesday or after regular school. Okay, so you have to turn in a copy of Pay Stubs. I showed you what a pay stub looks like. Every time there's a grading period, every time a report card goes out, I'm going to collect your pay stubs just to count up how many hours that you worked. So make sure you're keeping your pay stubs, and definitely figure out how to print up your pay stubs if you don't actually get a pay stub attached to your check. So in the class, you have to turn in your classwork. It's a regular class. On Tuesdays, we have classwork you have to turn in. I want you to keep up on your grade. So it's your responsibility to look at your grade and make sure you're actually getting points for your assignments. So your boss is going to have to do an evaluation on you for this class as part of your grade. So you have to make sure that your employer is willing to do that for you, and you have to keep your job. Losing a job, getting fired, it's not good for your grade in this class. As work experience, you have to have a job. Okay, so who can be in work experience? This class is not for everybody. If you don't have a job, this class is not for you. If you have a goofy job that doesn't count, this class is not for you. All right, so to be in this class, you have to keep good grades to keep a work permit. So to have a work permit, you have to have a 2.0. If you go below a 2.0, you lose your work permit. You lose your work permit, you get kicked out of the class. So don't let that happen, please. You have to have good attendance, and you can't be truant. These things will make you lose your work permit and get kicked out of the class. So don't do that. Attend class on Tuesdays, except for a real emergency. Call me to schedule a makeup. An absence for any reason lowers your grade. So even if it's an emergency or whatever, it lowers your grade. I'm not a monster, though. You can make it up. So just make an appointment with me to make that missed attendance up. You can make up 3 classes. Okay, so make appointments outside of work experience time. Tardies lower your grade as well, so don't be tardy to class, even on Zoom. Okay, so when we're actually meeting at school, you have to sign in off a piece of paper, and you have to sign in. I can tell when you're signing in for somebody else, so don't sign in for somebody else. Be honest, just sign in for yourself. So when we're in a Zoom, when we're meeting through Zoom, the way I'm going to take attendance is probably just take attendance at the beginning, but I usually like to double check it. So make sure that you always leave at least one comment in the Zoom meeting so that I can go back and double check my attendance. Again, this class is not for everybody. You have to be 16 or older. You have to have a work permit if you are under 18. Like I already said this, you have to get a new work permit with each new job and each new school year, and the job must be approved. Okay, so let's talk about what an approved job is. So this is what the state of California says. So they have these laws about work experience. It has to be safe, so on and so forth. So you can read through this. I'll sum it up. It has to be safe, moral, and legal. You have to be supervised, so you can't work alone. So you have to work with somebody else, preferably your supervisor. So it can't be just like a job where they're paying you cash. You have to actually pay workers compensation